Hello, everyone. What's up? Welcome back to our channel. Why would we know? I'm Rajat.
I'm Andreas. Hi.
Hi, Andreas. And today we'll be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, Episode 4, Into the Dark.
That sounds great. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Okay, so we left off in the last episode where Aang and Iroh got captured by the Earth Kingdom, and they are still in prison. And now the Earth Kingdom is now trying to bring Iroh to a place called the Pit, whatever that means. It's probably a very bad prison. And Aang on the other side is brought to the king. So they bring him to the king, and it's this old man that we saw shortly when they tried to assassinate him. And yeah, Aang recognizes him to be Bumi, his old friend. We just saw at the beginning of the episode in a flashback scene because Bumi has created a little whistle, a little bison whistle that Aang is still using. So they were really good friends back then, but it's 100 years have passed, and Bumi is kind of upset with Aang because he recognizes Aang immediately because, well, he hasn't changed. This is Aang, his old friend from 100 years ago, and he's mad about that he has not shown up in the last 100 years. So he feels like he left him alone.
Right.
So, but Aang, of course, tries to explain to him, yeah, it's not my fault. I was frozen for 100 years. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And so, yeah. And then Bumi takes Aang and they go someplace. I remember they go, and every now and then there are traps that Bumi has placed there for Aang. But Aang is avoiding those traps using his airbending techniques. And yeah, and at the end, they have some debate or something like that. I cannot quite remember, but Bumi is of the conviction. Okay, the only way we can settle this is we have to fight each other. We have to fight each other until one of us dies. And of course, Aang is not very happy about that, and he tries to convince Bumi that this is not necessary. So he's always trying to convince Bumi, "Hey, we don't have to fight. Yeah, we're still friends." And but Bumi is firing everything, using his earthbending capabilities to try to hit Aang, and Aang is defending himself using his airbending, but he never attacks Bumi because he actually doesn't want to fight at all.
Correct.
And yeah, and what do you think? I mean, Bumi as 100 and something old man, yeah, he was ripped.
Yeah, that was like one of the weirdest part for me as well because, when they initially showed Bhumi, like as this old king, he was like, like barely walking and,
Yeah,
like almost like dead, and when that
yeah,
particular moment came, he's like all ripped. He was like literally dancing, and
yeah.
doing all sorts of action. Then I'm like, what happened? And the director forgot whether he was supposed to be 100 year old or what happened. That just was very very weird for me.
Yeah, I guess I mentioned it already. Do you know of what this reminded me of? It reminded me of Yoda. Now,
Oh,
and of course, it did not mean anything to you because you did not see the movie Star Wars yet.
oh my God! Again, yeah, I
So
have not. I have not watched it.
yeah, that's for another day. We will make Rajat watch Star Wars, the original movie, and so he will know who Yoda is. But of course, the audience probably knows Yoda, and this is something similar. Yoda is going on crutches. He's old,
Okay,
and then all of a sudden he rips up his clothes and fights like a maniac. So
that's not normal. If you're
no,
like
it's not.
old, that's not normal to just
No.
come up out with a six pack abs.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah. So Raja, what happened with Sokka and Katara in the meanwhile?
Well, there was like a different story happening on the other side, but yeah, obviously related though. So Katara and Sokka, they were trying to find a way to save Aang from the castle. Katara met Jetty again. He
Still,
tried to
his name is
apologize.
Jet, not Jetty.
Oh my god, again.
No I
Sorry.
at the end.
It's Jet. Whatever. He's not that significance of a character, but the only thing good thing he did is like somehow helped Katara found her, I would say, I don't know, powers. So yeah, he came again, and Katara had to fight him off. He was trying to stop her and everything. So yeah, but eventually Katara and Sokka, they both together went to that find that secret passage that leads to the castle, and that's where they found a singing ballad group that
Yeah,
helped
Tio
them.
told them about the
Yeah,
secret passage,
yeah,
right? Mm.
yes, I forgot to mention that. So that's what happened, and yeah, so that group basically told them the story of Omashu, like how that city was built, and uh, how was it named Omashu at the end. So that's what they did. They went into the dark to find the secret passage. They met that beaver or badger mole or whatever you can call it. I will call it a beaver.
Yeah,
Badger, no,
it's
beaver.
officially it's called Badger Mole,
It looks more like a
but you
beaver
think
though.
it's a beaver.
I think it looks more like a beaver than a badger and a mole together.
Yeah, but
So
a beaver is cutting down trees and the mole is digging ground. You know, the
okay,
mole with his big hands who's digging through earth, And
mm,
badger is, I don't know, yeah, it's a little bit bigger. So they combined this and made a badger mole out of it. So,
yeah,
anyways, yeah. So yeah,
whatever. I mean,
those
that animal basically is like a softie. Apparently, I was
okay.
expecting that it would try to kill them properly, but as soon
It
as that
did, didn't it?
it tried, but as soon as it discovered that there's love, there's affection between the two people, then it stops and it helps them find the way to the castle. And they
Hmm.
did, and they reached to a point when Ang is fighting King Bumi, King Omashu, and they try to interfere and they stop him. And yeah, that's when the fight ends, and Omashu, the Bumi, basically King Omashu, realizes that he was wrong. It's not right for him to continue fighting with Ang, because he's the only one who can actually protect.
Yeah, it actually was that Bumi told Aang that he is the Avatar and he has to show that he's strong enough to do all the things that
Correct.
people expect from the Avatar. And Aang says, "I'm not going to do this alone. I'm going to do this with friends." And then I guess then Sokka and Katara showed up and helped him, and that convinced Bumi, well, he doesn't have to do it all on his own because
Yeah.
he can have help from his friends. And then he remembers, hey, I'm a friend of Ang too. So
Yeah.
that's probably the moment where he realizes, okay, I was wrong, Ang was right, and I'm gonna join them again.
Yeah, so he decides to help them, so that they can continue their journey to the next destination. I think
Yeah.
now there's another pair there's something going on there. I think Zuko and Iroh. What's happening there?
Yeah, Suko and Aro. So, as we have learned, Iro is in the prison and they are bringing him somewhere to the pit. And yeah, at this point, Zuko is going into Omashu by disguising himself as a Earth Kingdom soldier. And then a very important moment comes because he has to decide. Okay, he knows that Ang is still in the palace in the prison, and they are bringing away Iro. So
Yeah,
he has to make a decision: should he go after Ang or should he save his uncle? So that's a defining moment for Suko.
that is true.
And
Yes.
Yeah, and that's when it's decided. Okay, is he is going to be a good guy or is he going to be the evil guy? And yeah, he decides to rescue his uncle, and
I mean,
if he's
it
following
shows that
him.
he's like a, like a family guy. He cares about the people who care about him.
Yes,
And
yeah,
he would basically put that into his priority list over his whatever ego or things that he wants to achieve.
yeah, yeah. Well, family, it's all family business because he has to decide should he go and do the things his father expects of him, finding Aang
Yep.
and bringing him back to the Fire Nation, or helping Io, his uncle. So it's both a family decision. So it's more like a decision
It's, I think, more
between
about, yeah, who
father
cares
and
about him. Yeah,
uncle.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he decides, okay, my uncle is more important to me than my father is. So that's basically what he has to do. And while he decides that and tries to find Iro, we learn that Iro is taken by this Earth Kingdom soldiers, and one of them, I remember some commander or something, talks to Iro
Yeah.
and yeah, insults him and says, "Hey, you were the general who besieged some city for 600 days and you didn't accomplish anything, and you basically are a fool or whatever." And he's trying to fight him, even, yeah, doing some earth bending, threatening him with a big rock over his head. Yeah, but then he got stopped by some other Earth Kingdom
Soldiers. Yeah.
soldier, as I remember. And then Iro takes some coin out of his clothing and drops it in the hope that Zuko will find it. So he hopes two things. First of all, he hopes that Zuko is going to follow him, and he's hoping that he will find the thing he just dropped.
Yep.
And that's what actually happens. So Zuko comes down the road and finds this coin or whatever it was, and knows then where they went with Iro, and he goes after them and then challenges them to a fight, and tries to free Iro, and they fight, and Iro also can. How did it happen? He can get rid of his shackles somehow. I don't remember. Does Zuko free
That was
him?
weird, actually. Yeah, I think he could. Maybe he could just melt it. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. So they fight together, but in the process, he gets hurt in the back by some shrapnel, some bullet, some earth bending bullet. I thought at this point this was it. That's it, over and out for old Iro, but obviously didn't
Yeah.
hurt him too much. So
Yeah, it
because
was pretty small.
yeah, so Suku and Iro then find a boat and go back to their ship. And while they are going back to their ship, they see over their heads Appa flying with Sokka and Katara,
Yeah.
heading to, I don't know where they are going, but
I think
they are.
they are actually going towards the North Kingdom, the Water Nation, whatever. But
Yeah,
they
that's the
would make
plan
us
at least.
stop in between. Yeah,
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 and Zuko could decide, okay, should I go after Aang and follow them, or should I go back to the ship and rescue Iroh? And he decides to rescue Iroh. So now we
yeah,
know Zuko. He knows what's really important. He cares for his uncle, so that's good. Well,
yeah.
that helps him with the reputation for the audience.
Definitely. I mean, I think he's a pretty interesting character. Has a lot of arc. I mean, he's.
Yeah,
I mean, he comes out or seems like this very arrogant, spoiled prince.
yeah,
I mean, initially it feels like that when you, like, let's say, watch the first episode or things like that. But then you start realizing as you go along that he's not that. Actually, he's has more
yeah. He has
to him
some
than
depth
that.
to it.
Yeah.
So
He
he
has
he
a
has
lot of depth.
been through
Yes,
some challenges in his life already, and
definitely.
he has his scars. Well, it's visible in his face, the biggest scar. And I
Yeah,
guess we'll learn about how it came to this scar in the next episode, I would assume.
definitely. I think one thing that I think, did we mention it already, that in the same episode I think they showed like a backstory of Iroh's son,
Oh yes, yeah,
who
right,
died.
right. Yeah, when
Yeah,
this Earth Kingdom soldier insults him, then we
yeah,
get some flashbacks from Iro where he
yeah,
sees because back then in this battle that he was referring to, Iro lost his son in
correct.
the battle, and then we see the funeral of his son where Suko then gives some comfort to Iro and that's the moment where we learn that basically Iro treats Suku as his son. Yeah, so he
Yeah,
has, and that's what we all already assumed. So he has some fatherly emotions for Suko,
definitely. I
and
mean, that particular scene was like the basis of their strong bond together.
yes,
Like, something that they share. I mean, Iroh must have felt that, at that point of time, everyone was just, sorry to hear about your son. That's the only thing they were doing to console him. But that kid, he sat with him throughout. He didn't go. He just, he talked like in a nice way, try to console him, whatever, so that showed, I think, Iroh, that this kid is actually very, very nice,
yeah,
and so yeah, I mean, that was actually very, very nice to see what is the basis of the strong connection between Iroh and Zuko,
yeah. So
why
yeah,
Zuko chose him over that
and
other thing,
that's
yeah,
and that's one of the reasons what makes this show so good. They have a really good character building. They don't have any black and white characters,
yeah.
except of course Sao.
Yeah, I think black and white, him, and I think the Ozai,
Yeah, I don't
so
know
far.
about Osai yet. I don't know. Well,
They've
in
not
the
shown him
well,
much though, yeah, to actually
yeah,
establish that.
I wouldn't. I would not. I would not be so sure about Osai being all evil. Azula, on the other hand, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Maybe she gets an arc too in later seasons. I don't know.
I
But
mean, right now it
Osai,
seems like she just hates his brother. Just
yes,
she would be
yeah.
fine if he's dead. She would be fine to kill him even as well. But I
So
don't know. Maybe later it would be different.
the question is, well, maybe we could look it up by watching the anime series, but
No,
I don't
I'm
want to
not
do it.
gonna
I
do
don't want to
that.
spoil
No, no, no.
myself.
No.
But maybe even Osai has a redemption arc. Maybe Aang at the end brings them all together and say, "Hey, kumbaya, my lord." I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. So
So
it
that's
was a nice
possible.
episode actually. Yeah.
Yeah. What's going to be the role of Boomy? I mean, we know from later episodes what's happening to Boomy. Well, we don't know exactly what's happening, but how does he help Ang?
I mean, this particular episode didn't really help Ang much. I think it was, he didn't learn anything. He just learned that his old friend is alive, and he tried to kill him in a way, or at least test him. But he didn't learn anything. He didn't gain anything here.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
there's nothing that progresses him in his journey to be the
yeah. This
Avatar.
episode, no, yeah.
So it's basically more of a world building episode. So we learn a little bit about
To show the Earth Nation, yeah, homage.
the Earth Nation, right? And the basically the where the name Omashu, how this came
Yeah,
about. It's a combination of Oma and Shu, the two lovers
yeah,
from different villages, which is basically the old story of Romeo and Juliet. You know, like there are no new tropes yet, so
yeah.
it's all we all have seen this kind of stories already. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was action packed, especially
Indeed.
the fight between Bumi and Aang, and it also has played some emotional heartstrings with the with Suko deciding to help his uncle. So, and we learn about this grievances that Iro has, and we already have a soft spot for Iro in our hearts, so we feel extra
Definitely.
for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
I mean,
was
for
overall
me,
a
like,
great
it's still,
episode.
even Aang is still not my favorite character, even though he's the lead character. I love Iroh, then Zuko, then Aang, then others. That's the list for me still. I mean,
Yeah,
Ang hasn't grown too much into me yet. I mean, he still has a lot to do as a character, I guess. But the actor is good. Actor is
the
good.
actor is great. Yeah,
The character is somehow, like I'm not able to connect properly with, at least yet. Maybe the next season would do something else.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's no, never going to happen because let's face it, he's the main character. He's the one. I don't know.
Like that's a weird thing when like because since I'm not able to connect to Ang that much yet, when Ang and Zuko fights, I'm like, Zuko, beat the shit out of him, please. you
Oh,
know
come on.
uh,
No, you can't. Yeah, no. Yeah, you cannot be that bad. I mean, to root for the bad guy.
he's not a bad guy. We just
Yeah,
established that Zuko is not the bad guy.
yeah,
He's
in this
actually very good.
context, he is. I mean, of course, he doesn't. Well, in the end, we all have the feeling that he doesn't want to harm and he probably won't. And you always get a glimpse of it, and you always say, okay, he's questioning himself. Why should he fight Ang? Why should he go after Ang? You see that all the time, but his intention is to capture Ang. And
But I think from what I can see so far, the day that moment comes back when he is actually finally able to catch him, I think he will let him go. That's the kind of
we
person he
already
is.
know that.
Yeah,
But that would be another spoiler for another
yeah.
episode.
But
But
I don't know. Like, am I the only one who thinks Zuko is better than Ang or likes him more than Ang? I don't know.
I don't know if
Maybe I'm the
somebody
only one.
can be better than Ang. I mean,
Not
Ang
better than
is
Ang, but at
is
least they like him more than Ang. Maybe there are more.
yeah, it's more
I'm
telling
not the
about
only
you
one.
than about Zuko and Ang. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But yeah. But overall, the characters, evil or bad, good or something, they are really designed good. I mean, we feel with everybody, and
True.
we
Hmm.
know and like them. Yeah. So what about what's your emotional stance when it comes to Azula? Is she good
Azula.
as well? Do you root for her when she fights Ang?
No. Of course, no. Because the thing is, first of all, they've not shown her much. And whatever they've shown her in, it's like, she's like an evil character. So, nothing good about her so far.
Yeah, she's
Maybe something
completely
changes in the next seasons.
yeah, she's completely unsympathetic. I mean,
Unsympathetic, yeah. So, I mean, Zuko, on the other hand, he's like a great character. The
yeah,
actor
he's
is
like
nice and
a
everything.
victim of his father, basically.
Yes.
That's why we root for
Yes,
him.
yes. He's burdened by the responsibility and of a prince, or and what his father wants him to do, basically to
Yeah.
capture the avatar. So I think that these are the things that somehow is restricting what he actually wants to do. For example, just like I don't know, Sokka. He doesn't want to like fight. He doesn't want to become a warrior. He's doing it because he's put into that situation.
Oh, well,
uh,
he wants to, but he has to realize that that's not what he can do.
Yeah, I
He
mean
he, he
that's
wants he always says, I want to be a warrior, but then he sucks at being a warrior, and
yeah, but I think he became a warrior only because his father left. His father didn't come back, so he had to protect the family. So that's the role he
yes.
assumed. If his father
So
was still there, then he probably wouldn't become a soldier. He would just be
um,
an engineer. Who
yes,
knows?
yeah. That's his real passion. Yeah, being an
Yeah,
engineer. That's what we
yeah,
learn in Omashu. That's the
yeah.
main thing about Sokka when he and Sai work together on this air balloon. What is it called? Airship or what is it called?
I think it's air balloon. I think
Air balloon. Anyways, which will become important later. And
correct.
yeah, so yeah, so we have Sokka who's struggling with him and his passions. He wants to be an engineer, but he has to be a fighter, a warrior. And then there is Zuko who wants to bring peace to the world and please his father, but he doesn't really want to hurt Ang, and he loves his uncle, so he listens to him. So yeah, that's that. And Ang, of course, is still always in a conflict. He wants to continue his journey to become the Avatar, but he always has to help the next guy that needs some help, and he's always constantly need to help anybody who's coming around.
Correct.
So yeah, and Katara, she wants to be a strong water
Yeah.
bending warrior,
Hmm.
and she is climbing up that ladder rather quickly.
Rather
She's
quickly, for
now,
sure.
even now, Inomashu, her skills got really good, and she's now a decent waterbender.
Waterbender. Yeah, correct. Yeah, definitely. I
So
mean, she's growing for sure.
yeah, so we saw a lot of progression in this episode, except for Aang, who didn't progress much,
Yep.
but all the others did well. And yeah, so we're looking forward to the next episode, which
Episode.
will
Yep.
be the one called Spirited Away. Let's see what's happening there. Okay, so any last words? Any last thoughts?
I would say pretty good episode this one was, and I have good hopes from the next one, and we'll talk about that soon. Okay, so yeah, I would say that's it
Definitely. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this
this week.
episode of Why Would We Know? And see you in the next one.
See you on
Bye
the
bye.
next one. Bye bye.